Well, hello scrappers, welcome back to my channel. Mike here, and today in part 5, yes, believe it or not, 5 parts of me trying to extract gold and silver from Ken's filters. We're going to try and get silver out today, but first, I've got some unfinished gold business with Ken's filters. Speaking of filters, if you remember back in episode 2, where I rehydrated all his stuff after my disastrous attempt at incinerating it in episode 1, I ran a lot of the liquid through a sort of a makeshift filter. I created more filters, basically. I put a couple layers of paper towel in a colander and poured off the rehydration liquid through that. I'd almost forgotten about this stuff, okay? Sort of cleaning up around the lab here, and I found that colander, and it still had the paper towel filter material in it, and there's quite a bit of fine debris in here. This is actually fairly heavy. So what we're going to try to do today is, before we move on to getting silver out of the filter material, I'm going to go ahead and incinerate this stuff, and we'll treat it and see if we can get any gold out of it. So after we extract the gold from this stuff, the debris that remains I will add to all the debris from the rest of the filters where I've extracted gold from, and we'll try to get silver out of it. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly so that we can get on to doing the silver. Alright, so I'm just going to put this on, it's on a hot plate, and I'm just going to turn it up high. And this is probably going to be a really smoky, nasty mess, but hey, I've replaced the motor on the fume hood. It's working good. It's making a lot less noise too. So it could just get smoky. I don't care. We'll blow the smoke off into the field over there somewhere, out of harm's way, and we will get this stuff calcined down to a nice powder. And then we'll put it in a beaker and we'll treat it with some acid boils and then Aqua Regia, and we'll see if we can get the gold out. Like I said, I'm going to go through it fairly quickly so this video doesn't get too long, so we've got time to try and extract silver from this stuff too. Okay, so we're just going to let this heat up for now and see how it goes. Well, this stuff's been heating up for a while. Got some smoke coming off of it. It's starting to char around the edges. I think I'm going to help it a little bit with propane torch, just to speed this process up a bit. See if we can get this going a little quicker. That's smoked things up pretty good. Got quite a plume of smoke coming out the exhaust of the fume hood. But okay, so we'll just let this continue to cook. I will stir it with a stainless steel spatula from time to time until we got nothing left in here but fine ash. Well, the smoke has subsided a lot. This stuff's looking pretty charred. Let's give it a stir. Oh yeah, breaking up. There's still some uncharred paper down there. This stuff may have still been a little wet. I think the chemicals it was soaked with were a little hygroscopic, so it stayed damp. But it's drying out, it's charring. Okay. I'll break up clods and stir it up and get it all calcined here. I think it's going pretty well. And I'll stir it a few more times. Make sure everything gets exposed to the air and exposed to the bottom where it's the hottest. So this has been cooking for a while now at high temperature, and I've been stirring it from time to time. There's a lot less smoke. Bust up some more clods here. And I don't know if the color change is apparent in the video or not, but this stuff is turning reddish brown, which is what happened in the last two videos where I processed the rest of Ken's filters and rags. The material turned reddish brown. I'm taking that as a good sign that we've got this stuff completely oxidized. I'm going to let it cook a little while longer because I am still seeing some wisps of smoke coming out. So that tells me not all of the organics have been burned off yet. But we are probably getting close to having that. Yeah, not too much smoke at all, but there are still wisps coming off. So we'll just let it cook for a while longer. Make sure everything's oxidized. And yeah, I think that reddish color, I think it's changing the oxidation state of iron in there. I think that's what's happening, and I'm taking it as a good sign. Okay, so we're just going to let it cook for now, for a while longer. Okay, this stuff has been cooking for quite a while. I really hope the red color is showing up on the video. It has turned quite red, even redder than my other samples of this stuff. So I think it's pretty much done. So I'm not seeing any more smoking. Nothing else coming off of it. So I think I'm going to turn the heat off, let it cool down, and then we'll get it into a beaker and start processing it. See if we can get any more gold out of this before we go after the silver. Okay, this stuff has had a chance to cool down. Let's get it into a beaker and start giving it some acid boils. Just like the stuff where I did the bulk of it. Just like where I did the bulk of this stuff. And I'm amazed at the volume. I didn't think there was this much material in that filter. That's why I kind of forgot about it. I thought it was just going to be, you know, a minor amount of material, but there's a lot of stuff here. Maybe that's going to equate to a lot of gold. Maybe, maybe not. But we will see. Wouldn't want to cheat Ken out of any gold. So we got this in here. Let me get this in the fume hood, and we'll get some muriatic acid on it, and we'll give it a couple of muriatic acid boils to get the base metals out of it, just like I did with the rest of the material. Okay, let's get some muriatic acid on this stuff. Just like any other videos, I'm going to give it a good full liter to start with. And we will boil the snot out of this stuff for a few hours. Then I'll decant off the liquid. And put some fresh acid on it, and we will boil it again. That seems to do a pretty good job of getting the bulk of the base metals out. I mean, we're not going to get rid of everything. There's still going to be some there. But this seems to really help. So let me turn this up to high, and we'll get this boiling. And once we get a good roll and boil going on it, I'll turn it back down, and we'll just let it go for a few hours. Okay, got a good roll and boil going. It's actually boiling a little harder than I like, so I'll turn the heat down. And we'll just let this boil for the next few hours. And eventually I'll decant off, I'll let it turn it off, let it cool. We'll decant off this first batch of liquid, put some more on, boil it, decant that off, and then we'll be ready to go to Aqua Regia. I think I'm going to skip the decanting and the second boil and that decanting just to keep this video from getting too long, because we still got to get silver out of this stuff. So, be back when we get this stuff in Aqua Regia, I think. Alright, we're back. It's been a couple of days. This has received 2 long boils in muriatic acid and 3 rinses with distilled water to try and get all of the base metal salts out of it. Now, you may notice things look a little different in the fume hood. Yes, both of my hot plates failed during the process of boiling this stuff. First one, then the other. They failed within 2 days of each other. And you know what? That's par for the course with me. Hot plates don't last long in here. The chemical fumes from the acids and whatnot in here, they just destroy them, okay? don't put expensive hot plates in your fume hood because they aren't going to last. Buy the cheapest ones you can find. This one was free. So we'll see how long it lasts. I don't have high hopes for it. The knobs are already rusting after only like one use. So, yeah, it's probably not going to be long for the world either, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, this is ready to go to Aqua Regia. So we'll make some Aqua Regia and see if we can get any gold out of it. I mean, it looks promising. So let me get some muriatic acid in here. Good bit. HDX muriatic acid, my favorite kind. Good clean stuff. Some muriatic acid you buy, it's all yellow and nasty looking. It's all contaminated with iron. This stuff's good. Alright, so we'll get this on low heat. We'll put some nitric acid in there. And, you know, my experience from the last two videos with this is it's going to take a lot of nitric acid because we still got some base metals in here. So, much more nitric acid than you would just put in if you were trying to dissolve the little bit of gold in here. The base metals in there are going to chew up this nitric acid before the gold gets a chance to go into solution because the base metals are a lot more reactive than the gold. So, I'm going to have to bust out another bottle of nitric acid pretty quick. So that's not quite 6. Or not quite 9, I should say. So that's about 10 milliliters, and we'll leave it at 10 just because I don't want to have a runaway reaction and a boil over as this stuff heats up. So we'll leave it at that. We'll get the fume hood running, and we'll see what develops. I'm sure it will probably need more nitric acid in the future, but like I say, I don't want to have a runaway reaction and a boil over, so we'll start with that. So we'll just let this warm up and see what we get. Well, alright, I went inside for a few minutes, had some lunch, came back out. Look, we got some orange fumes in the beaker. We don't have a hugely vigorous reaction, but there is some bubbling going on. So, okay, as this is warmed up, we are starting to get a reaction. Probably just base metal going into solution at this point, but just going to let it cook. Let it cook. Reaction stops. I'm going to put some more nitric acid in, and I'm going to keep that up until I don't get any more reaction out of it, just like I've done in the last couple of loads of this material. So, we'll see how it develops. Okay, it's been a few more minutes, and I turned the heat up just a little bit, and while the reaction's really taken off, I mean, the orange, brown-orange color of the fumes really isn't showing up on the video that well, but it's pretty thick in the beaker. We got some bubbling going on. That is not boiling. That is bubbling. Yeah, this stuff hasn't heated up enough to boil yet, so getting a good reaction now. All right. Oh yeah, this is the kind of reaction I was afraid of. It's almost looking like it might want to try and run away on me. I might turn the heat down a little bit. I guess this hot plate just takes a long time to get up to temperature, but once it did, wow, have we got a reaction going on in there. And I don't want it to get too much more vigorous than that. That's manageable. If it starts climbing up the beaker, you know, that's not manageable. So I gotta turn the heat down just a little bit and let it cook. Well, it's been a little while. The reaction has calmed down. I've been off working on another project. Come over and look at it. Well, no more orange fumes, no more bubbling. We got a little bit of boiling going on. I'm going to put a bit more nitric acid in there. I got to be careful now because this is hot. And we could get a serious runaway reaction. Might even be a delayed reaction. So I'm going to put the nitric acid in slowly. And I'm not going to put much in. That's about 1 milliliter right there. Get another milliliter ready to go. Seemed to be a whole lot happening. Put another milliliter in. Okay. Just let that sit. Okay, I'm starting to see a little bit of fizzing in there along with the boiling. Yeah, we're starting to get some fumes in there again. I don't know if it's showing up on the video, but we are getting some fumes in there. A little bit of a delayed reaction, not a violent one though, fortunately. But we are getting a reaction. So I think I'll let this just sit. Yeah, the fumes are getting thicker. I think I'll just let this sit until the reaction completely stops again, and then we'll give it another shot of nitric. And I'll just keep repeating this until I see no more real reaction to the nitric acid going in. Then we should have all the metals in there in solution. Okay? Alright, this stuff's been cooking for a couple hours now. I've been putting in small 1 or a little over 1 milliliter shots of nitric acid every time the reaction pretty much stops. I just put another one in. Got very little reaction. Not a whole lot of fizzing or bubbling. This is mostly boiling. Got just a little bit of orange fumage in the beaker. Not very much. So I think we're pretty much there. I think what I'm going to do is... getting late in the afternoon anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this continue to cook for a little while. Maybe give it one more shot of acid. And then shut it down. And come back out here tomorrow and we'll give it a stannous chloride test, because it's going to take hours anyway for the fine material in here to settle out, so we have a clear liquid on top that we can test and get an accurate stannous chloride test, because this is really turbid dark stuff right now. I don't want to try and test it as it is. So yeah, I'll hit it with one more shot of acid, shut it down, and we'll come back to it tomorrow morning. Okay, I turned the heat off on this stuff a while ago. It's still pretty darn hot, but it has cooled down some, and it's had a chance for a lot of the particulate matter to settle towards the bottom of the beaker, so I think we could do a stannous chloride test on it. It's still too hot to try and filter though. I'll probably do that tomorrow because it's getting late in the day. But let's see here if we can get a little bit of this liquid and do a stannous chloride test on it, alright? Don't need a whole lot. On over here. Some fresh stannous chloride solution here. I just released a video on how I make my stannous chloride solution these days, and I'll put a link to that in the upper right for those of you who are interested. Let's see what we've got here. Well, certainly not the strongest indication for gold I've ever seen. We have some gold in there for sure. Not a huge amount. But hey, some gold is better than none. Okay? So I'm going to let this continue to cool. In fact, not only am I going to let it cool, since I'm not going to filter it till tomorrow, I think what I'll do is I'll dilute it a little bit with some distilled water instead of icing it down. Because what gold is in there will come out of solution a lot easier if it's diluted a little bit. Yeah, look at it, stirred all the sediment back up again. Alright, so we'll just leave that sit till tomorrow when it's all the sediment has settled again, and then we'll filter it and we'll drop whatever gold's out of it, and then we'll go after the silver and all this stuff. And hopefully finally, we'll be done with Ken's filters and rags. Yeah, but I'm not expecting to get a whole lot of gold out of that stuff right there. Yeah, that's pretty weak gold signal. Okay, see you tomorrow. Alright, it's time to get this stuff filtered. It's been sitting around for a couple of days. Had some work done on my knee, and I've been kind of trying to stay off of it. Doctor says I need to take it easy. So this has just been sitting here. Let's get it filtered and drop what gold is in it. I'm not expecting to get a lot. I remember the stannous chloride test was pretty weak for gold, but there was some here. So what I'm going to do is filter this liquid carefully. I want to get the liquid through first, quickly like it's going now, before I get all these solids in here in it and plug up the filter. And then we'll drop the gold out of this liquid. And then we'll be ready to go after the silver and the solids from this project, which have just been accumulating and accumulating. And this stuff, you know, it has the look. It looks like there might be some silver in it. I don't know for certain that there's silver chloride in here, but this stuff certainly has lightened up a lot in color, and it's really good at clogging my filters. So, you know, it kind of seems like it might be silver chloride. Okay, it's going to take a while. I'll get the rest of the liquid through. Once I get the solids in, this is going to grind to a halt. It'll just be, you know, a drip every few seconds. It'll probably take hours. Especially, I've got to rinse the pregnant solution out of the solids, so it's going to take a while. So we'll be back when the filtration is done and we're ready to drop the gold. Okay, let's get some SMB in this stuff and get the gold dropping. I saved the gray goo in the filter in the Buckner funnel. Set it aside with the rest of the gray goo I've collected from this project. And we will test that. See if we can get any silver out of it. Some foaming. I think we'll leave it at that and see what develops. I'm not expecting there to be a whole lot of gold in this stuff. So that should probably be more than enough SMB. We'll just let it sit and see. I'll clean up my spilled mess down here. It might be darkening. Be back when something interesting happens. Oh yeah, it's darkening now. Okay, so we're getting the precipitation. I'm seeing some gold floating on the surface too. So good, we are getting some gold precipitated out of solution. So we're just gonna let that sit and settle. And I think I'll probably leave it overnight and we'll see what we got tomorrow. And I just put a jug of ammonia in my lab refrigerator because from what I read, the silver chloride is more soluble in cold ammonia. So I'm thinking by tomorrow morning we'll have some cold ammonia and we can try to do some silver extraction from the gray goo left from getting the gold. Plus we should have some gold. So we'll see what we've got in the morning. Well, it's the next morning and look what has settled out in the beaker. That actually looks like more gold than I was expecting to get, considering the weak stannous chloride test. But you know, there's a lot of liquid here. So I mean, what do we got here? Right about at 2 liters of liquid. So even though there wasn't a lot of gold per unit volume, we got a lot of volume. So maybe we got a fair amount of gold in there. As usual though, from the green nasty color and the colloidal consistency look of it, I would say it's pretty nasty, dirty gold. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do exactly what I've done with every other gold drop in this series of dealing with Ken's rags and filters. I'm going to siphon off the bulk of this liquid, and then I'm going to redissolve this gold in a little bit of Aqua Regia, refilter it, and then reprecipitate it, okay? Just to try and clean it up a little bit, because we had some, you know, nasty stuff in here. I'm sure we probably got some copper, some iron, maybe some nickel, some tin certainly, and that's caused this gold to come out as a colloidal suspension, which took a long time to settle. There's a lot of it stuck on the sides of the beaker, and just siphoning off the bulk of this liquid and redissolving it in this beaker here with some Aqua Regia. That should clean up the inside of the beaker nice, get all the gold back into solution, and then after filtration can reprecipitate it as a lot cleaner, nicer looking gold. So I'll do that, but to keep this video from getting too long, I'm not going to show you most of the steps, okay, because I've done this before in a lot of different videos, including every video in this series. So if you want to see it, go back and look at it. So it's like the sequence is siphoning, redissolving, filtering, and reprecipitating. Okay? So let me get to work on that, because I don't want this video to get too long, because I want to go after the silver. I want to have room for that, because in the age of TikTok and shorts, holding on to people's eyeballs for an hour is hard. So I don't want this video to get too long. Okay, so here's our gold after siphoning off the bulk of that green liquid. See if I can get a good focus on it. Yeah, it's not quite the right color. There's a lot of it stuck to the sides of the beaker. This definitely needs a little cleaning up. Okay, there's the gold on the still warm hot plate, slowly drying out. So once it's dried out, we'll be able to get a weight on it. See how much we got there. Well, it's not very much gold, but at least it's good clean gold. Much cleaner than what we started with. Let's weigh it up and see what we got. Get it unstuck from inside the beaker here. Some of it's still pretty fine. Probably carried some contamination over in that little bit of green liquid. But certainly this is a whole lot cleaner than it was. And what do we got? We got 0.34 of a gram. Okay, 0.34 of a gram. We can add that to the total that I got from the rest of Ken's stuff. I think that puts us over 3 grams. Well over 3 grams, I think. So a little bit more gold out of Ken's filters and rags. Time to move on to get the silver. So the next step in the saga of Ken's filters and rags is I'm going to try and get any silver that might be in this stuff. These are all the filters from all the extractions I've done on the ashes left over from incinerating Ken's filters and rags, okay? So they are all full of this gray goo. And this gray goo, to me, looks like it might be silver chloride, or at least contains some. I don't know if there's actually any silver chloride in this. I'd be surprised if there wasn't some. I seem to remember getting a fair amount out of my own filters when I did them. So we'll try it with Ken's too. Wow, there's a lot of gunk here. Uh-oh. So we'll try it with Ken's and see what we get. So I've got all his filters with the gray goo from them in this 3-liter beaker here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a fume hood and I'm going to cover it with very cold ammonia. And I'm going to stir it and stir it and stir it really well. And then I'm going to filter off the ammonia liquid. And we'll neutralize it with muriatic acid and see if we get any silver chloride to come out of it. If we do get silver chloride, well, I can easily convert that into metallic silver using the lye and sugar method, and then we'll see how much silver we get out of this stuff. Hopefully, this isn't a fool's errand. I guess we'll find out. Let me get this in the fume hood and get my ammonia out of the refrigerator. Okay, it's time to finally go after the silver in this stuff, assuming there is some silver in it. Now, I got silver out of my rags and filters when I did them a while back. I'll put a link to that in the upper right corner if you want to check that out, especially if this doesn't go as planned, because it is a Ken project, so you never know. So you can check out how it went with me. So everything kind of went by the numbers. You know, my filters had some silver chloride in them because, you know, that's something I want to filter out of my gold. So my filters all had some silver chloride in them. I'm assuming Ken's are going to too, but, you know, it's always a dangerous assumption. So the way this is going to work is I've got some ammonia here. I find that the ACE ammonia works pretty well. From what reading I've done, silver chloride is more soluble in cold ammonia than in warm ammonia. So I put this in the fridge. Now when I did my filters, it was like the dead of winter, cold as it gets here in Florida, which I know ain't that cold, but everything was cold and it worked really well. So I've had this in the fridge until now. So let me get the fume hood on. So what I propose to do here is I'm going to cover this stuff with ammonia. And by the way, this is just clear ammonia. It's not sudsy ammonia. It's not lemon-scented ammonia. It's not colored yellow ammonia. It's just ammonia, okay? Alright. Don't waste your money on that stuff. Just get the clear ammonia. I know it can be hard to find in some places, but that's what you want. It's just the clear ammonia. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stir this thoroughly. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to stir it. Close the fume hood door, keep the ammonia fumes in. I'm going to stir it every few minutes for about the next 10-15 minutes. Make sure all that gray goo in there, which you can see is coming out of the filters now, gets a chance to contact the ammonia. And if there's any silver chloride in it, hopefully it will dissolve in the ammonia. We got a lot of goo there. I think I'm going to put a little bit more ammonia in. Though there is a bit of a danger of using too much ammonia, because we're going to have to neutralize this ammonia with muriatic acid later. It's going to take a lot of acid to neutralize all that ammonia. Okay, I'm going to let this sit, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to stir it every few minutes for, like I say, the next 10 or 15 minutes. And then it'll be time to filter it and see if we get any silver chloride out of this stuff. So it's been a couple minutes, so I'm just going to give it a good stir again. And then let it sit for a few more minutes, and I'll keep that up for a while, and then I'm just going to let it sit. So I want the particulates to settle out for easier filtration. So I'll give it a few more stirs and let it sit. Okay, so I let this stuff sit for a while after the last time I stirred it, maybe 10 minutes or so. And I don't know if it's showing up in the video. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit, it'll become visible. Yeah, the liquid has separated from the solids. The solids have settled to the bottom, so I got a nice liquid layer there. Hopefully that will filter reasonably quickly, and this isn't going to become an all-day project from all the particulates in here. I guess we'll find out. So, let me get to filtering this stuff. And then once we're free of all those particulates and we've got a nice clean filtrate, then we can see about getting the silver out of it. Well, if there's any silver there. I still don't know for sure if there's any silver in this stuff. Yeah, I see a fair amount of fine particulates coming over. This is probably going to slow down to a crawl really quickly. Liquid's kind of a cool pale blue color. Might be some copper compounds dissolved in here too, along with the silver, if there's any silver in it. Yeah, that's a really cool blue color. Okay, so this filtration, I can see by how it's slowing down before our very eyes, is going to take quite a while. So I'll be back when I've got it filtered. Well, I've pretty much got all the liquid through, and it is coming through very nice and clear, which is great, because I don't want to have to filter this stuff again. It's taking a long time. The filter is plugged up, as I expected it would be. Yeah, there's quite a layer of gray goo in there plugging it up. But you know what? We might still have a lot of silver chloride in this stuff. I don't know. What I might do is, if I get a lot of silver out of this first treatment, maybe I'll just do a second one, you know? And I had another thought, and you guys can chime in the comments and let me know what you think. I was thinking, once I'm done, I've got this gold out of this stuff. I'm trying to get silver out of it. We'll see if I do or not. I might just keep the remains here and try smelting it and see if I can get anything else out of it. So, yeah, let me know if you think that's a good idea. If you'd be interested in seeing it. You old hands at smelting out there, feel free to leave me some ideas for a flux recipe. Because, I'm fairly new at smelting. I'm going to have to wait until this draws down a little bit. Right at the top of the filter. But yeah, I'm fairly new at smelting, so yeah. It'll give you some idea what a good flux recipe might be for this stuff. And maybe try smelting it, see if there's anything in here I've missed with the chemical extractions. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit left anyway. Gold, silver, platinum group metals, maybe. Hard to say. Alright, this is going to take a long time to draw the rest of the liquid out of this. Now the filter is really plugged and I've got all the solids in here. So I won't make you watch it. I'll be back. Yeah, that filtration took a while, and the ammonia's had a chance to warm up, and it's gone a little bit cloudy, which maybe silver chloride starting to come out of solution. Well, we'll help it along that road of coming out of solution. I'm going to dump it back into this now clean beaker, and we'll get it in the fume hood, and we'll neutralize the ammonia and acidify this stuff with some muriatic acid, and we may see some silver chloride come out of solution. I'm calling that the last drop. And we will see how it goes. Of course, now that I've unplugged the pump, suddenly it's dripping a lot worse. So, anyway, I got to get this in the beaker before it warms up anymore. Oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that just yummy looking in here? Wow. But like I said, if there's a whole lot of silver in this stuff, maybe I will just do another extraction on that goop there. Got plenty of ammonia left. Yes, I would say something is definitely trying to come out of solution. Silver chloride is possibly the most obvious suspect, but we'll see. Okay, let's get this in the fume hood and neutralize that ammonia with some muriatic acid and see if we can precipitate some silver chloride. Okay, so got some muriatic acid here. This should be interesting. Let's see how it goes. Well, the liquid has basically gone from blue to very light yellow. And it's probably, yeah, it's warming up good as the acid neutralizes the ammonia. But what I'm not seeing is any silver chloride fall out of solution. And we're getting this big cloud of mist of ammonium chloride when the hydrochloric acid fumes and the ammonia fumes mix. They form, you don't even have to pour it, just get the fumes out there. They form a cloud of ammonium chloride. But I'm not seeing any silver chloride come out of solution yet. I might just be wasting chemicals. Ken, I'm surprised. There's no silver in your rags. I'm really surprised there's no silver there. Oh yeah, this has gotten quite warm. Because I don't know that I have neutralized all of the ammonia yet. Well, I'll come this far. I'll put in a little bit more. Nope, I'd say it's not happening. Okay. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, silver recovery from Ken's Filters and Rags was a bust. But, hey, we got the gold out eventually, after, you know, a near disastrous start. So, that's something. And I still got the gray goo over there in that Buckner funnel, which I might try smelting. Maybe I can get some more gold out of it that way, and who knows, maybe even a little bit of silver will make an appearance via smelting. But this is looking like a complete bust. I am very surprised there's no silver there. The stuff in that funnel really looks like silver chloride. It acts like silver chloride, but apparently it is not silver chloride, or we would have a white cloud of it in here by now. So, okay, well, I tried anyway. Gave it my best shot. If you found this series of videos at all interesting, informative, educational, inspirational, whatever, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see my future gold and silver recovery videos. There will be more. So subscribe to see those videos. Check out my second channel, Electric Geek 64. There's good stuff going on over there if you're at all interested in electronics or retro computing. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye. So, I had some second thoughts about this stuff. I dumped the contents of this big beaker off into a waste bucket, and I got to thinking, you know, I need to test the pH on this stuff to make sure I've actually acidified it enough for the silver chloride to start dropping out of solution. So, oh yeah, it's plenty acidic enough. So yeah, there's no silver in here. I am super shocked at that. That there is no recoverable silver in Ken's Rags and Filters. Mine were full of silver, so that's kind of odd. But speaking of buckets, I was looking around for a bucket to dump this stuff into, and I found another bucket. And I was looking at this bucket, and I had an uh-oh moment. And I realized we are not quite done with Ken's Rags and Filters. The contents of this bucket are going to mean at least one more video. I'm going to keep what's in there a secret for now. You'll just have to wait and see in the next video on Ken's Rags and Filters what I found in that bucket that I almost forgot that I had. This is your post-credit content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.